Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We're so glad to be back. You know, we had our big summer with a lot of interviews and a lot of different things that we were able to do during the summer months. Well, now it's back to the beginning of the school year. The kids are going back this week. It also means that we are ready for fall sports. And what better way to start us off than our yearly get-together with Jeff Tirrell, who is the play-by-play guy for Bear Country 95.3. He's been doing it for a very long time. We normally have his sidekick with us, but unfortunately, Sean Hubert was not able to be with us here today. So Jeff and I will handle the show today. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of big changes that happened over the summer. We're going to share them with you right here on our show. Want to thank our underwriters here today, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also our friends over at Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue Way in Turners Falls, and also we want to say a big thank you to Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Thank you to John Meisner, Philippe Simone. We also have our new intern with us as well, Allie Murphy. Want to thank her for being a part of our set. And we're going to get things started here today with Jeff Tirrell. Jeff, summer's over, bro.
Yeah, I'm ready. Definitely ready for the fall sports season. As you know, I live near Greenfield High School. I was walking my dog in Shattuck Park last night, and I looked out over the fields. I saw the girls' soccer team. I saw the boys' soccer team. I saw kids running on the track. I saw and I saw field hockey players going through the paces, getting ready for the season. And then on my way back, I saw the football team in the corner over at Vets Field. So yeah, I mean, we're getting ready to go. Things just feel a little different, Bobby. Things are going to take some getting used to because we all know what's going on with local high school football.
You know, the high school football season has really made a very big impact on a lot of the schools, and the one school that took the biggest hit was Turners Falls High School. Yeah. They had to make a huge decision that I know was very uncomfortable for not only the athletic director, Adam Graves, but also their head coach, Chris LaPointe. And of course, at the end of the day, you say to yourself, what is the biggest problem at Turners Falls High School? Why aren't the kids playing sports? Well, it's one word, Jeff. It's called numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. The numbers weren't there. And this is something that it didn't come out of nowhere. We've seen the trend in recent years, and not just at Turners Falls High School, but at a lot of the local schools, the numbers were getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Mohawk, they were living on the edge all season last season. They finished their opening game against Franklin County Tech with 10 players on the field for the last couple minutes of the game. And they were walking that tightrope all season long. They were able to finish the year. Kudos to them. But having said that, though, Bobby, even though this did not come out of left field and no one should have been surprised, the night that I opened up my email and saw the letter from Adam Graves to the community saying that the program at Turners Falls High School, the football program, has been suspended for the 2019 season, it still hit me hard. It hit a lot of people hard, even though no one was surprised by it. You get down to 8 kids, there's nowhere else to go. The good news is that Turners Falls football lives, in essence, with Mohawk, pending MIAA approval. I can't think of a compelling reason why the MIAA wouldn't give this a thumbs up, the new co-op situation, at least for this year with Mohawk. But you have to feel good for the kids from Turners that wanted to play. They're not going to play for their school, but they will play high school football. They've got a new band of brothers in Buckland. They're going to play under the Mohawk banner, and especially for the seniors to have one more shot to play football, because if for some reason this does not get approved, they lose their last season. And usually, you know, I would venture to say 90% of high school athletes, high school football players anyway, their careers end after high school. Some do go on to play collegiately, but not usually. That's it. That's their last chance to play full contact tackle football. And it would be terrible if they were not afforded that opportunity this year.
The way I look at it is that the MIAA would only be a benefit by letting this co-op program happen. First of all, in the fact that you want to give as many kids who want to play sports the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And you know, the one thing that we have to remember is the West County has taken a huge hit in numbers to the Franklin County Tech School, but so hasn't Turners Falls High School. A lot of kids are playing for the tech school football program. But one thing that we have to say, Chris, Jeff, that was one thing that Chris Collins and I were talking about was, how about the fact that 30 kids that were playing sports for Turners are not going to be able to play for Turners because they go to other schools. 30 kids. So if you took those 30 athletes, added the 8 to it, you'd be sitting at 38 kids and a Turners Falls suited uniform.
Or even half, and you're sitting at 23, which isn't ideal, but it's doable.
That's right.
8 obviously was not doable.
And 23, funny how you said the number 23. Last night, we had a chance to go up to Mohawk Trail Regional to be able to see their practice. All the Turners kids that were on the team were all there suited up, except for one kid who needs to get a physical. He is a freshman, so he will be suited up. He will be player number 24, because there was 23 suited up last night, which means they'll have one more, which will be 24. But I also heard from Coach McLeod's son. His son said that there might be 3 kids that might be interested in still coming out from Mohawk this week. So if everything goes well with physicals and getting everything done, they could possibly be up to 27 kids suited up for Mohawk this year.
That would be fantastic. I understand when kids decide not to play football, for whatever reason it might be. I get it. I think it's really easy. In the community, especially over at Turners Falls, people are saying, come on, play. Come out. Why would you not want to be a part of that program? It is not for everyone. So I understand that. But if you have an inclination to play football at all, you need to step up at this time, because if you don't, programs can go under. In the future, so for 2019, we're looking at in 2018, we were looking at the loss of Pioneer, although Pioneer kids had the opportunity to play at Turners. Wyatt Keith was the most prominent name. We all know what he did last fall.
Yeah, exactly.
So that worked. That had been set up in advance. It worked to the benefit of both schools. The Pioneer kids had a place to play. The Turners program was enhanced. That was perfect. Will this be perfect? Well, it won't be perfect. It's very late in the game. This is something that, a cynic might say, well, why couldn't this have been in the works over the summer? Because the reason is because I think Turners Falls legitimately felt like they had a shot to make it in the fall. All indications were, after those meetings in the spring, they say, okay, it's going to be tight. We're not going to have a ton of kids, but we will be able to salvage a team in 2019. It turns out that didn't happen. The MIAA might be looking at that. Why are we getting this waiver request in late August? Why, this could have been dealt with earlier. I feel like I know the reason why. Turners Falls legitimately felt like they were going to have a program all by themselves this year. The program I was really more worried about was Mohawk. As it turns out, if this doesn't happen, they both would have been in jeopardy. Well, Turners Falls did discontinue the program, and Mohawk was right on that line. So to me, it's an easy call. It's easy for me to sit at this desk and say that. It's an easy call. Yes.
Same here.
Grant the waiver, and let's keep this going. Now, in 2020, in 2025, Bobby, I don't know what we're going to be looking at in terms of local high school football. Greenfield's numbers are pretty good right now. There are a lot of students that are choicing into Greenfield, but are they athletes? The future of football in general. I mean, Bobby, there are football hotbed states where maybe programs aren't going under, but New Jersey's a big football state. Numbers are down huge. Texas.
They were huge.
Florida, California, Ohio, Pennsylvania. These are huge football states. Now, granted, I'm not talking about programs going under and going dark, but I am talking about huge declines in numbers in those states where football is so big. So, yeah, in 2025, what are we going to be looking at? Are we still going to have, prominent football programs with rosters that have a minimum of 20 kids? Maybe we will. I hope we do, but I don't know. It's questionable.
I saw a statistic that was shown, and of course we know that concussions have been a big issue, and we've talked about that for a long time, Jeff. But it said that a lot of single moms do not want their kids to play football or hockey, and it's because of the safety issues. It didn't even say concussions; it just said safety issues. And someone said to me, "Well, it isn't about the single mom." And I said, "Well, this particular statistic that was shown said that the biggest advocates of having their kids play contact sports where concussions and injuries happen were more because of single moms not wanting that to happen to their children.
Yeah, it's a family.
But it was like, and so when I put it out on Facebook, some of the single moms were like, well, I definitely believe that my kid should play. Well, I didn't say that it was all moms. I just said that the statistic that was shown on the poll, which was funny because it was done by ESPN, they ended up doing, you know when they do the behind the headlines or whatever, where they have that show where they...
Outside the lines.
Outside the lines,
yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly, outside the lines. You know, they end up talking about what has happened across the country. But the other word that was brought up is the word that we've been talking about, numbers. It's not just about the safety issue, Jeff. It's numbers. A lot of single families are a lot of, we have the single mom situation, but what about guys like you and I? Let's be honest. You have 2 children, bud. You know what? You came from siblings a lot bigger than 2 kids, okay? You have a lot of siblings. Mom had a lot of siblings back then. You only had 2 that you brought into this world, okay? My wife had her 2 children before we got together, and then we only had just Ashley together, 1. So the numbers are not big anymore. There's not these big families anymore, Jeff.
Yeah.
And that's why numbers are down.
Bobby, it's the confluence of a bunch of factors.
It so is.
There are so many things. I mean, people are going after families that aren't allowing their kids to play football. That is a family decision. I would never, ever look at a family and say, what? You're not going to let your kid play hockey? You're not going to let your kid play tackle football? That is a family decision.
Absolutely.
And that is their decision. It is not my job to put my nose in their business. And when you watch an interview with Brett Favre, and he's 3 years younger than us, Bobby. He's about 50, okay? 50. Yeah. Relatively young man. He's in terms of his life, he still hopefully has a lot of tread left on the tire, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You watch interviews with him. He struggles to formulate his thoughts, and physically he is struggling big time. Yeah. So when families look at that, now there are people that play contact sports and they are fine all the way through. But for some families, it is not worth the risk, and I am fine with that. For some families, they are quote unquote, we're a football family. Grandpa played, dad played, son will play, your son will play, and it's also a community thing. I applaud that as well. Mm-hmm. So families make their decisions, but this is the summation of a whole bunch of different factors. And we could fill up 4 hours on your show.
We could.
And just barely scratch the surface. I mean, Bobby, you know when I really realized things were changing? When I turned on ESPN, one of the ESPNs, probably ESPN2, and I was watching a video of young people playing video games. It was a competition.
Yeah, I watched that too.
That was a couple of years ago. And now we know it's gaming.
It's gaming.
It's getting really, really big. It's a competitive sport. It's not they're not athletes. I guess this kind of goes back to who's an athlete, who's not an athlete. You know, are auto racers athletes? I think they are, but yeah. No, I'm watching on ESPN, and I'm like, all right, I'm watching a video of a kid playing a video game competitively. Yep. And they have leagues and teams, big sponsorship. I mean, it is a burgeoning industry, and you know what? You and I, back in the day, again, we're getting a little older, Bob. Hate to say, we both celebrated our 53rd birthday a week ago. We're getting a little older. Times have changed, and we're not going back. The toothpaste is out of the tube. But the days when we played whatever sport was in season, from sunup to sundown, and our parents, it's dark out, you got to get inside. And all right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. We're going to play pickup games again. Bobby, for the most part, those days are over.
They are.
And, people are playing a lot of video games, and that's what gives them the sizzle and the buzz that we got by playing ball all day, all summer long. That's what we got excited about. Like, we're going to play, we played all day long, the old days at Hillside Park. And,
absolutely.
Those days are over, man. They are over, for better or for worse. It's a different world in sports. In terms of participation, it's just not the same. How do we navigate going forward? I think people that are a little bit smarter than me got to figure that out. That's why I wonder in 5 or 10 years, what is high school football going to look like? People say it may not exist at all. I think it will, but we may be down to just a few local teams playing football in the future.
I think we'll have Frontier. I think we'll have Greenfield, and I think we'll have Franklin County Tech. And I think that's what we're going to have, Jeff. And I think that's what it's going to be. And I think that we're going to have to accept that those are going to be our 3 local teams, and that those 3 local teams are going to have to go, and they're going to have to play against the teams that are in Hampshire County, and they're going to have to play probably some of the Springfield teams to be able to fill a full schedule to be able to do that. And you know what? Maybe you're going to start seeing it bring back the days of when you and I went to school, Bud, where we were playing the Holyoke High Schools, and we were playing the South Hadleys, and we were playing the Northamptons. Maybe the time's going to be the change to where we might be playing against those teams again, instead of just the inter-county league like it is right now.
Yeah, well, if you have enough programs that go dark, I suppose we could be looking at that. I'm not an advocate of that at all.
I'll be the first to tell you I'm not either.
There's a lot of things. People have presented solutions to me. One solution that I'll throw away in the garbage can right now because you just can't do it. Now, you can have a 7th or 8th grader run cross country. You can have them play basketball. We've seen it. 8th graders playing varsity basketball. Football, you cannot have a 95-pound 8th grader as a running back playing high school football against a 17-year-old kid who goes 225. That can't happen. So football is very, very different in that regard. Right. You can't just say, okay, we'll put all these grades together like you can for some of the non-contact sports. So that's not a solution. What is the solution? Some people have said, are we eventually going to do like a 7-on-7 type of thing, which some areas of the country, they do this 7-on-7 type thing, or non-contact football. That will make some people's heads spin around here. The longtime football people saying if we reduce squads, non-contact, but some areas of the country, they have gone to that. So
You know where they're doing that? And it's funny you brought that up. A lot of it's in the Midwest.
In the Midwest, yes.
Midwest is doing it a lot.
So you're talking about 7-on-7?
7-on-7.
7-on-7, yeah.
7-on-7's done a lot in the Midwest, Jeff.
Yeah.
So it's already started. That's the thing that we need to remember, folks. Yeah. It started, but when is it going to finally really come to a head here in the Valley? That's the question.
I think it's coming. I think we've started to see it now. We've seen the numbers dwindling here and there, and now, like I said, nobody should have been surprised when Adam Graves sent out the letter. But as I read it, I went, wow. And the first person I thought of, the first group I thought of were the Turners Falls seniors, and I says, I hope they have a place to play. I immediately thought of Mohawk.
Same here.
I thought of Greenfield as well, potentially, which would have been really,
I know,
really for the Green Wave, but. But the second person I thought of was Chris LaPointe, and I thought the guy that just pours everything. You could almost say he was the program for a time there. They had struggled for a while there, and he came in. He's not going to be coaching this fall.
No, he's not.
That's tough.
But I want to tell you folks all something, and Jeff and I know this about Chris. Chris has a wonderful family, and his son Jaden is an athlete too. And I think that, like I told Chris, I said, you know what? Now it's time to start focusing your time to your children.
Yeah.
You got a beautiful daughter, you got a beautiful son, and you and your wife Carrie have got to take that time now for the kids. You've dedicated so much to not only to the team, but you've dedicated a lot of time to the community, and the time that you've given back to your alma mater too, and what he's given back to Turners has just been something that's been immensely gratifying. And I have so much respect for this guy, and he truthfully cares about these kids. He may be a little hard, and some kids can really take him a lot, because some of the kids that aren't used to a hard type disciplinary that they may not see at home, he could be like that on the football field. But people need to realize this. He's an old school football player, and when you become from the old school, you bring that same way when you preach it as a coach. And unfortunately for the kids today, they would have had a hard time back when you and I were playing football, brother, back in the day. Yeah. Some of these kids on how hard we were taken, and pretty much, come on, Campbell, get in the, and seriously, bud, you know the deal.
Yeah.
It was the way of the world back then,
Yeah.
And it's a little different now. It's a little more of a more sensitive. We have a very sensitive community right now in a lot of ways.
Well, a lot of things have changed. That's definitely one of the things that has changed. The thing that I've had a few people say to me is, okay, Turner's Falls program being suspended, it's tough. But they told me, Jeff, don't overreact. This is probably going to be a one-year thing. Okay, here's the thing, Bobby, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to be negative. I do hope it's a one-year thing, but history has shown me, and it has shown everyone, if your program goes dark, it's not automatic that it comes back right away. And the longer it goes, the longer they're down, the more entrenched no program becomes. So a lot of people are saying they're going to be back next year. They'll have some kids come up. I hope that's true, but people need to understand that when a program gets discontinued, for people thinking it's like flipping a switch, but it's not like flipping a switch. It takes a while. Listen, if your old pickup truck sits in the driveway for 9 months, or for a year, and you go to turn it, is that going to turn over or not? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
Chances are probably that's not.
It's not.
It's not. It's a good point. And you know, it's funny that you just said that, Jeff, because there's two programs that are happening right now that one of them's been a while, and one of them is now trying to do the opposite, and that is Mohawk is trying to bring back boys soccer. And they just had a big write-up this week about the fact that they are doing everything they can to bring boys soccer back to Mohawk. So they've been without a soccer program at Mohawk for boys soccer.
Yeah, and boys soccer at Turner's.
And boys soccer at Turner's has been with the Tech now for 4 years or 5 years. It's been a co-op program. Okay, so that is still a dark program over in Turner's with boys soccer. It's still through the eyes of the Tech. Now Mohawk, who went dark with boys soccer, is seeing if they could try to bring that back. It's still not a guarantee.
Yeah, no, it's not. And the one thing I can also tell you, my understanding is the MIAA, they want to see a program that is sustained year to year to year. What they don't want is, okay, we took a year off, we're back, now we're gone for a couple more years. Oh, wait, we got a good turnout, we're back. They want to see a program that is sustained year to year to year. And it's getting more and more of a challenge. So, I mean, Turner's football, they have work cut out for them if they want to get this reinvigorated next year. It's going to take a lot of athletes making the commitment to doing it. If they get the numbers, Turner's football will be back. If they don't, obviously, they won't. And again, the more seasons go by with no football, the more you'll think that it's gone for good.
I bring this up and I think it's sort of funny, but Turner's gets to go up on the hill and they get to be called the Warriors.
Yeah.
After being called the Thunder, because they lost their status of being the Turner's Falls Indians. So now they get to put on a different uniform, and they're now called the Mohawk Warriors this year. That's what they're going to be called.
They are playing for Mohawk, and it'll be interesting to see if we start talking about actual football on the field now, because Turner's Falls, they're not sending a lot of kids up there, but they're sending some good athletes up there. This is really helping out the Mohawk team and how quickly they can gel. Again, we're assuming the MIAA is going to give this a thumbs up, but gelling the 8 or so kids from Turner's that are going up there with the kids, the 18 or so that were there at Mohawk, how quickly they can gel and incorporate these athletes and become a team of brothers and get that whole brother. And they're working on it yesterday, Monday the 26th was the first practice. So if that can congeal pretty quickly, it could be a very special thing. It's what happened last year with Turner's, with the Pioneer kids coming down. Most of the kids that came down from Pioneer, the most prominent name obviously was Wyatt Keith because of the position he played and the numbers he put up, but there were a lot of Pioneer kids who became Turner's Falls football players. And if these Turner's kids can go up and become Mohawk players, and if they can bring it together, that could be really cool.
I'll tell you right now, I watched Duclos. I went up to that first practice, by the way, and saw Duclos, and he looked solid, man. He looked really good. Jaden Whiting, lightning speed.
He's a good player.
Really good footwork, man. Yeah. And he had good hands, too.
Yeah.
I think Sean Davenport, the quarterback of Mohawk, is going to be a happy guy this year because I think that he's going to have hopefully a little more protection. And I think he's also going to be able to have some guys that he's going to be able to get the ball to. And as you know, Sean's a pretty tall kid too, so he'll be able to see the field pretty good too. So I think this is going to be a beneficial year for him.
Yeah, I mean, does this propel Mohawk to the top of the Tri-County League? You know, who knows?
Who knows?
You
still got to play Ware, and you still got those tougher teams that are
obviously,
around.
yeah,
but
sure. The Tri-County League is it's the weakest league in Western Mass football. Let's be honest, it is.
And Ware's one of the tops in that league.
Within that league,
yes.
So. But having said that, this is an enhancement for Mohawk football.
Yep.
I mean, they have struggled to get the W's. They've struggled with the numbers. They have struggled with injuries. They've had a tough time of it. Now this is like an injection of plasma. You know, Bobby, this is like, all right, yeah. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's see what we can do with this. And, you know, MIAA, you know, I got them in my phone. I'm gonna call them right now and tell them, give a thumbs up to Mohawk Turners.
And let's make it happen.
And let's make it happen.
And let's not only put the injection into the program, but let's put the injection into the kids to get excited about the opportunity to be able to have two teams share together an opportunity to be able to grow friendships, to be able to grow together as a team. And I really love Doug McLeod as a coach, and I know how much experience he has as a football guy. And I think that this could be a really good thing for Doug too. And I'm really happy that Doug has this opportunity to have these kids, because I've known Doug. Doug and I go way back. Matter of fact, Doug and I played a lot of men's football together in the men's football league. And you know, I will say the guy never wanted to give up. I think when he retired, he probably went home and cried for a week because he loved the game. And with him being the head football coach in the years that he put in before that, of being an assistant for so many years, this is a really great thing for Doug too. And I really think that he's going to be able to give these kids a positive attitude and a positive, you know, experience that I hope that these kids really enjoy themselves this season. I really do.
Yeah, you know, he and his coaches, they did a great job of keeping that thing going last year. I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying anything I haven't said publicly before, but after week 1 of last year's season, Hubie and I looked at each other. They walked off the field with 10 healthy players. And Sean and I said, you know, they're never going to make the whole season. It's just they're going to have to forfeit some games. Not once. Not one time did they not go out there on the field. Again, they had trouble winning, but not one time did they say, we can't play our scheduled game. Some kids were playing injured, clearly.
They were.
But they did it.
Yeah.
They did it, and I never thought they're going to make it, Bobby. So
and they proved
great job
that they
by
were going
them.
to suck it up. And
it would be so. You know, again, we'll see how this goes. You know, Mohawk. You know, they're going to play the Tech school, but because they're in the Tri-County League, they're not playing a lot of the local teams. They're not playing Turners, which they ordinarily would have played.
Yep.
So you know they lose that, and Mohawk plays other teams. You know, Smith Vocational, McCann Tech. They play some of the other teams. It's kind of cool with McCann Tech, though.
Yeah, that McCann Tech. Let's talk about that for a minute. McCann Tech is a team that was going to be coming over to play Mohawk on the 4th of October. And Adam Graves and Crystal Point sat down at a meeting that they had with Coach McLeod and said, listen, if we join this and this goes through, is there any way that we can be able to have our booster day that's supposed to be our booster day in Turners, our game against McCann Tech, can we have that at Turners instead of at Mohawk? And Doug said, absolutely. So they're going to end up being able to have that game of booster day for Turners at the field. And I hope that everyone comes out on the 4th. I want Bordeaux Field packed that night with people supporting both of these teams. I really think it would be great.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Bobby, and it is going to be nice because I think it's going to be sad if people drive down Turnpike Road on a Friday night this fall and the lights are off, but not that night. The lights will be on, football will be played, and some Turners Falls athletes will be on their old home field. And this will be under the Mohawk team banner because, again, Turners Falls football, at least for 19, does not exist, so it'd be Mohawk, but the game at Bordeaux Fields at Turners Falls High School.
That is correct. So they'll get all the gate, they'll get everything. Yep. Everything will all go right back to them. But the best thing is that it'll be an opportunity Honestly, I think what would be nice is maybe if the sports boosters that day open up the concession stand for that one night and they're able to sell some goods and be able to do whatever they need to do. Maybe they can make a little money for the sports boosters, and then Mohawk can be able to just get the gate at the when people come in for that day.
Yeah.
And it still adds to the excitement of the week, a Spirit Week of what Booster Day is all about, with that week leading up to it with a bunch of Spirit Week activities that'll fit right into that night when all the sports teams play on that Friday itself. It'll be the big cap off of that 7 p.m. game where it'll be Mohawk Turners, that co-op team, taking on McCann Tech.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I totally endorse it. And again, it's going to be nice. That Friday night anyway, the lights will be on at Bordeaux Field. So,
well,
cool.
Let's talk about a day where it will maybe be sunny, maybe be cloudy, maybe be cold, maybe be not bad. Well, no Turkey Day game this year between Greenfield and Turners.
For the first time since 1926. That was the last time there wasn't a Turkey Day game. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, I think about Greenfield too. The focus has been on Turner's Falls. There's no one on this side of the river that's feels anything other than sadness about the Turner's Falls football program. Great rivalry. Even when we went through long stretches where it was one-sided, Greenfield-Turners was a special rivalry, and it ain't happening this year, which is just mind-boggling.
I've been hearing people say, why don't they do an alumni game? And I said, no, I don't want it to be an alumni game, because you know what? We've already seen the sadness already of there not being a game. So what are you going to do? You're going to get a bunch of alumni to go out there and have a football game on behalf of the kids who really wanted to be able to have a game that they can't have a game? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And you have to remember something. The co-op program of Mohawk, they already play the night before Thanksgiving every year against Frontier. So there is no Turkey Day game, folks, even if you wanted to have the Mohawk Turners be able to make anything happen. They're not doing it. Yeah. But I will say this. I don't know if this is a way that it can work or not, but you and I have seen this happen before, Jeff. What if Greenfield and Mohawk just barely miss playoffs in that 2 open weeks that they have in November? Would there be an opportunity of Greenfield to play the Mohawk team as one of those 2 pairings against each other as that filler of the 2 games that are available if both teams didn't make playoffs?
The way that's done right now is the point system.
It is point system.
So non-qualifiers, they try to create a matchup that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Now, for obvious reasons for what has happened with Turner's Falls and what Turner's Falls is trying to do with Mohawk and the impact on Greenfield and on down the line, if the numbers were even close, then I think that would be a great idea to have those 2 schools play at either site.
Yep.
Perhaps played at Turner's Falls.
Ooh, off campus for both.
Right,
yeah.
But I don't know. Right now, I know what they do. The football committee, the scheduling, when first they do the pairings for the tournament, then they look at all the non-qualifiers, and then it's a point system, and that's why you'll see a Greenfield play, say in Amherst or something like that.
Yep.
So I don't know if they would say, okay, this is what we usually do, but in this particular case, these numbers are close enough. It's not the matchup that we would have assigned them. Strictly based on numbers, but they're close enough. It's close enough of a matchup, and because of the extenuating circumstances, we'll have Mohawk play Greenfield.
And look at it this way: we have 3 schools of Franklin County that are involved in this, because you got Turners, Mohawk, and Greenfield. So if they did play each other, the numbers that could come out for that game in mid-November could be big numbers. It could be
Could be bigger numbers than some of the schools that are hosting playoff games.
It's very true.
On the same night.
I know.
It could very well be. It could very well be. So
that's just one of the scenarios. But I think it's a good one for if that happens. I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, that would be.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
I will say this, Jeff. Greenfield, I had a chance to see them yesterday. It's only beginning of practice. They've really just got started. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of adjustments, but they got a couple of big, huge changes.
Yeah.
Their new quarterback is going to be Jake Sack.
Okay,
so Sacker is taking the snaps. They got some big boys on that line. They got Avery. They got Lyons. They got some big boys. I'll tell you right now,
Lackey's
Lackey,
back,
Cam Lackey's back. think about this. They aren't bad, bud. And they got kids who can play.
Well, that's the thing. I'm glad you brought up the Green Wave because, Kutchie has lost his skill position players have been wiped out. His quarterback from last year, gone. Top running back, gone. Top receiver, gone. I mean, they got in the skills, they got completely decimated. But some of the talent that's coming up, all they need is experience because they've got some good running backs and receivers, and now they got Sacker taking over at quarterback. How soon are they going to make an impact? I don't know, but they're going to get their chance. No one was going to get carries over R.J. Bird last fall, obviously. But now this is their chance. They were laying in wait. Now here's their chance to show what they can do. And they're coming out of a middle school program that had a lot of success under Conant and those guys.
They did.
Yeah.
And I want to bring up that, too. Drew Conant is another kid that's going to be coming up, too. You got Provost that's going to be coming up, too.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, their new running back is Jared Hart.
Yeah.
Jared Hart is going to get a lot of the carries this year for the Green Wave.
I think a lot of people are maybe sleeping on Greenfield because they're like, oh yeah, R.J. Bird's gone, Owen Phelps is gone, Hunter Campbell is gone, Nuni Vega's gone. Okay, we don't have to worry about Greenfield. Okay, say that at your own risk because let me tell you something. They again, it's a different kind of setup, but they've got the raw materials to have a playoff team, and I know they've come very close in recent years. The R.J. Bird era, as great as the numbers that he put up, as great as he was, it's disappointing because I think they felt like at least a year or two they should have had a nice long tournament run. Did not happen. Now, ironically, I feel like Greenfield has a chance over the next couple of years to do that. But R.J. Bird's now graduated.
That's right.
The irony.
Which is really, it's so sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then you look down the road. You're now leaving Greenfield. You start heading south. Frontier.
They're always there, Bobby. They're always there.
What more can you say?
Yeah.
What more can you say?
Yeah.
But you know what I can say? I could say this. Those kids at Frontier, they put the time in, Jeff. They put the time in.
Yeah.
You watch them practice. You watch what they do. You see the athletes that they have. They put the time in. And why are they good in basketball? Why are they good in baseball? Why are they good in football? Well, guess what? Those kids put the time in every sport they do. But let's not talk about them. Let's talk about the girls. Field hockey, cross country, track and field. Volleyball. Softball team.
Softball had a nice run, yeah. No,
everybody down there at Frontier is locked in to be able to perform. And it doesn't matter whether they're in the top or in the middle. You never hardly ever see them down at the bottom, Jeff. Ever.
No.
Never.
No, great program in virtually every sport, and in some cases they're a statewide program like the girls volleyball team. Football this year, we'll see what happens. We're going to see a lot of number 10 because we saw a lot of number 10 last year. We're going to see a lot of number 10 this fall as well.
And he's going to be darn good, too. And, they got a couple of new additions of the players, too. And one of the kids from Turner's that's going to be going to play is Jake Dodge. Jake Dodge is now going to be playing for Frontier.
Yeah, we can't call him Jakey anymore. Hubie and I used to talk about that because every time on the air when he got in, we called him Jakey because he was the younger Jake. But,
Now his brother's graduated. Now he gets his own identity now.
Jake. He is Jake. He is not Jakey. Jakey's the little boy. He's Jake Dodge. And really good. I mean, his brother set the bar high within the family because he had a great career over there at Turner's. But Jake Dodge, Frontier, what an addition that is. He's going to help them. He is definitely going to help them.
And you know what? He's going to help them in all the sports, too. He will help them in football. Yeah. He will help them on the basketball court. And boy, he did a great job on the diamond, dude.
On the diamond.
Exactly.
He was getting it done.
And he's only going to get stronger as he got older, right?
Sure,
so we knew that.
He fills out physically.
He's going to be okay.
He's going to, and Frontier, again, the postseason, they've had a tough time. They did get a postseason win, but they went to a Western Mass final game a couple of years ago. That didn't quite work out so well for them. But they're always in the mix. I would suggest they will always be in the mix in the Intercounty League North. Question is, will a team like Greenfield or Franklin County Tech join them? I know Joe Gamash's team, a little bit disappointing, I think. The results weren't there. They always have that stretch where they struggle for a while.
Yep.
And he's like, where's the offense? or they get the offense going and then they give up a bunch of points. They haven't been able to put both phases together for a long stretch. But if they do, then we're going to talk about the Eagles. And they have the numbers, Bobby.
They got numbers, but they got big kids.
Yeah.
You got Big Tuttle. You got some big boys on the team.
Yeah.
Hunter Wozniak is going to be a part of this team. Hey, what about Bailey Young, man? You got Bailey back, too, strong kid.
Yeah.
They got some good players over at the tech school. We're going to see a little bit more of them as we're doing our show here today. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. We're going to go over to see the tech, and I'm going to be able to get a little feel of what they're about. And it's going to be great because the time that we end up going over there is when they're going to be running some drills and running some plays as well. So I'll be able to sort of see how things are going on the early part of the year. But as the old saying says, it's nice when you could take kids that you've already had on your program to make them better. And I think that Joe Gamache and Bubbles Blanchard and the crew that he has for coaches over there have done an excellent job with these kids. And that program, as we talked about, has the most kids of any team in Franklin County.
Yeah.
The tech.
How about
you
that?
and I, Jeff, when we were in school, it was the bottom of the barrel. This was the tech school's participation in sports right here, right?
Yeah.
Now they have the numbers. They're up top. Who would have thought the Franklin County Tech School has made such amazing strides? Their educational program, their co-op program, the opportunity for these kids to be able to get out of high school and go right into the job force and be able to find good paying jobs. This is a win-win for Franklin County Tech, but I also think it's a win-win for the community as well.
Yeah, and what's been great too, I completely agree with everything you just said. And what was also nice is when they did the realignment and brought Franklin County Tech to play the local schools. Up until then, they would have the occasional game against a crosstown rival, right down the street rival, Turner's Falls. They didn't really play Frontier. They never played Greenfield. They tried to develop a rivalry with Mohawk, with mixed results, Pioneer. But then they get brought in locally, and now each week they're playing a local team. And it's great. It was hard. Just strictly from a radio perspective, if we had a choice between broadcasting a Turner's Falls Frontier game on a Friday night or broadcasting Franklin Tech versus Dean Tech, it was an easy call. What are we going to do?
And we felt bad for the kids.
Felt terrible
and the parents of the tech school, because parents would say, how come our school doesn't get any love? Guess what, folks? From now on, you are going to see a nice array of games that you're going to be able to see in football for this program. Also, the Franklin County Tech has really made some great strides in all of their sports teams, Jeff. Their basketball program is starting to get better. Their baseball team under Coach Winslow for years was good. He unfortunately took the year off this past year, but he got younger kids that he wanted to spend more time with. But they have the tools to be able to be back in the mix against a lot of really good local teams.
Yeah. And again, it sort of takes a Frontier-like commitment. Keep it going. It's the ultimate regional school district. Frontier's a regional school district, but they're drawing athletes primarily from the South County. Tech kids come from everywhere. And it was always interesting. We talk about some of the other schools that have been impacted by the Tech school, but I know Doug McLeod, he'd be out on the field before a game against Tech with the other coaches. They're going through the warm-ups, and he would look over on the far side of the field at the Tech school and say, yeah, I had that kid, and I had that kid, and I should have had that kid, and that kid. Same thing with Turner's Falls. Crystal Point could have looked over. Yep, him. They played for Great Falls Middle School, and now they're, So, kudos to them. They are reaping the benefits of the program that they've established there. But in terms of, we're talking X's and O's, I think a key is staying healthy, because they've had some critical injuries over the last few years. And again, just some consistency. Playing a strong offensive and defensive effort on the same night, and they could be dangerous. They could definitely be dangerous this year. I think Frontier will be the top team locally. Greenfield, huge question mark. Mohawk has been bolstered. And then going to the East County, you've got Athol and Mahar. not great numbers there. They're not in danger of any program folding at this point, but again, but they've been impacted there as well. So we'll have to see how things shake out over there with the Red Raiders and the Senators.
So our numbers locally are really down in a lot of schools, period.
Yeah.
And the one school that has definitely benefited from this whole thing is the Franklin County Tech, with their numbers, as far as we know, is the number one school with the most amount of kids, and 40, in which you and I, when we were playing high school football, we had 60 on just Greenfield High School alone.
Well,
and I have to admit, things were a little different back then, though,
yes.
Jeff. There were a lot of things that were different back then,
Yeah.
and one of the biggest things was we didn't have a problem with numbers. I mean, you and I graduated in a class with 150 kids in our class.
Yeah.
They don't graduate classes with 150 kids no more.
No,
okay?
That's
a big difference, though, Jeff, between you and I going to school then.
Well, I'll tell you, when I talk to some of the younger student athletes in this area, and I say, okay, to you, I'm an old man, but freshman year, Greenfield High School, 1980, the football program, freshman football team, junior varsity, and varsity, 3 separate football squads.
Yeah.
And they look at me like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You had a football team that was just freshmen, and then a JV team, and then the varsity team.
We had 42 kids on our ninth grade freshman football team.
So yeah, but we're talking.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
We're talking about going on.
Yeah. That was in 1981 when we were freshmen.
so
We were
almost
by the
40
way,
years
we
ago,
were the
so.
first freshman class to ever go to GHS.
I went to GH. Yeah.
That was the first time back
yeah.
then.
So
and I'll never forget that year though, because we decided that we were going to wear the Beat Turner shirts, and Bobby Wetruba ran for 3 touchdowns that day against us on Turkey Day.
Yep.
And we ended up falling flat, and then we went to the Super Bowl and played Westfield, and that's when Bobby Earl was our quarterback, and we got smoked.
We got smoked.
Yeah. But,
yeah.
But that was a lot of years ago, bro.
Long time ago.
So living back when we were definitely younger. But Jeff, I look back at everything today, and the one thing that comes out to me is the word numbers, and the other thing is opportunity. And I think a lot of kids today, a lot of them are taking the opportunity if they can work. A lot of these kids are taking the opportunity to work. And with minimum wage being $12 an hour, and if you live with your parents, think about if you work 25 hours a week part-time, or even 20 hours a week. Just use the number 20. That's easy to use. You're grossing $240 a week. After taxes as a student, you're probably taking home a couple hundred a week. So you can be able to go and work a part-time job, go to school, don't have to play any sports, and you're putting on $800 in your pocket every month. Now you can have a car. Now you can be able to do things that you want to do.
Gaming
Get your
system.
game units, get your game systems. But Jeff, it's happening. I see a lot of these younger kids taking advantage of going to work. It's the opportunity to be. I know there's not a ton of jobs for the kids, but the ones that are trying to get a job are taking those jobs.
Yeah, listen, again.
I'm just saying.
Again, families decide, the student athletes decide what they are going to do, and I don't think it's any of our jobs to say, why in the hell aren't you playing football? Because I'm doing this.
Period.
End of story. End of story. We come from an era of huge numbers. We come from an era of huge crowds at the football games where it wasn't just a few students, parents, and just a smattering of community fans. We had people that would go to the game because it was entertainment. The world is completely changed. People are we're binge watching Netflix on weekends instead of going to see the local high school football team play. It is just the way it is. The toothpaste is out of the tube. We ain't going back to 1976 anytime soon.
Right.
We're just not.
And I tell people this all the time. If you are new to this town, I want to tell you that when you go to a football game to watch a football game, you miss the old Greenfield. And what I mean by that is we had stands on both sides of the field. We had 6,000 people that went to the Turkey Day game. And I'm not lying, folks. 6,000 people went to the morning Turkey Day game.
Maybe. What would you say in recent years, Bobby? I know a few years ago we had a big game. It was Brody Markle and Zach
that was about
Zach Bardick.
Yeah, that was
senior year.
That was a great
probably,
game over there too.
That was probably 2,500, maybe.
Maybe.
And
we considered that as one of our biggest. And we considered that as one of our biggest crowds.
I would have thought the crowd would have been a lot bigger. But in recent years, what is it? Maybe 1,000.
Maybe 1,000.
And that might. Yeah.
And it's a late. And if you notice, Jeff, it's a late arriving crowd.
Well, they're listening to the pregame show with me and
That's
Hubie.
Right.
And if it's really cold, they'll just sit in the car and listen to the game.
Which last year, I got to admit, I didn't even make it last year, brother. It was so cold.
That was that was brutal.
But to not have a Turkey Day game is going to be weird for guys like you and I who graduated from GHS, Hubie graduating from Turner's. It's just going to be a weird thing for us. Really, it is. Even Chris Collins, we talked about it, Chris and I, doing the games with GCTV. We aren't going to be able to do the game this year because there will be no Turkey Day game 2019.
Yeah. If last year's Turkey Day game ultimately ends up being the last Turkey Day game ever between
what an amazing game, dude.
If that was the capper, that was the all-time, cherry on top of the banana split because 40-38 Greenfield, back and forth game, unbelievable performances by Wyatt Keith and R.J. Bird, and of course the guys who were blocking for them, and just some crazy plays, cold weather, I'm just bone-crunching hits, and obviously we're all hopeful that there will be Turkey Day games, Greenfield v. Turner's in the future. But if that's how the rivalry ended, it went out on top. It really did.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
Jeff, I want to bring up something that came up this week, and you've been hearing a lot about it on TV, especially ESPN and a lot of the sports talk shows. Andrew Luck decided that he was going to retire. And there's people out there who are mad at this guy. Jeff, can I just say one thing? I'm, number one, I've never been an NFL football player. Number two, I am not Andrew Luck's body. Number three, I am not Andrew Luck's mind. Number four, I am not Andrew Luck. And for anybody to judge this guy on making a decision that he feels enough is enough and that he has taken enough abuse, whether it was in his mind, in his body, or in his commitment to being able to still play in a safe environment, he feels he needed to step down. I respect it, bud. I wanted to get your view.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen. Some of the fans at the stadium that were booing him there was anger. There was anger over the timing. If you're going to criticize him at all, the timing. You're this deep into the preseason, and it's over. You're leaving now. Okay, get it, sorta. I think alcohol for some of the fans. They were kind of liquored up. So you get very bold and you do things that ordinarily you might not do, and it's mob mentality as well. You're surrounded by all these fans, and you egg each other on. But I think, hopefully, at least a fraction of the fan base, when they examined the reality of the situation and watched his news conference and really listened to what he said, listened to the words, and put themselves in his shoes. Because as you mentioned, we can't put ourselves in the shoes of a professional athlete. We don't really know what it's like.
We don't.
So that there might be some understanding of the factors that went into the decision, and to understand that everybody has a family. Your life is your life.
Exactly.
Which way is it going to go? Now, Tom Brady is 42, wants to play to 45, and he has been, luckily for him, relatively healthy. He had the one knee injury where he blew out his knee in week one of the season, lost that year. But other than that, he has been the opposite of Luck. He has been able to stay relatively healthy. Luck has been injured his entire career. So he makes the decision. I agree with you. It's his life, his body, his family, his future. He does what he needs to do. And I applaud the decision, and I certainly am not in a position to criticize. And listen, someone very close to me has been on a sideline during an NFL game. They had a sideline pass. And this person told me, they said, Jeff, some of the hits, they're like little mini car crashes all game long. Even the hits on TV that don't look like they're that hard, they are like car accidents out there on the football field for 3 hours, for 16 weeks, and then multiply that over however many seasons they play. It takes a toll. So if a guy says, you know what, I want to do something else, I get it.
Fine with
Totally
me.
get it. Yeah.
And if you folks are ever wondering what the average age is for an NFL football player, go look it up online, folks, because you'll be amazed. It's very young, folks. It's a very, very young age when they're done.
Yeah.
After 7, 6, 7, 8 seasons in the NFL, a lot of these guys are toast.
Yeah,
they really are.
You know, one of the factors is that even though pro football contracts aren't guaranteed, you can get good bonus money. You can make good money. There's listen, it's a very, as you mentioned, it's a short window of opportunity.
It sure is.
So if you can make a name for yourself, if you're an all-pro player and you're a prominent player and you've kind of got that thing with the public and people, you can get some endorsement deals or whatever it might be. Yeah, if you reach your late 20s or age 30 max, and you have accrued enough money, I heard Luck made about $100 million in his time. He's a very smart man, very, very intelligent man. He's going to be fine, and I'm sure that was part of it too. He wanted to preserve, his brain going forward.
I respect it.
So yeah, but it's a very tight window of opportunity to maximize your pro football career. Not that it's all about money. Playing for the love of the game, obviously, is primary. But honestly, yeah, money has a huge impact on a family. You can provide for your family and generations of your family by playing 4 or 5 years in the NFL if you're good enough and you make a big enough name for yourself. And a lot of these guys have reached a point now where instead of feeling like they have to keep going because the money is so good, they make a ton of it and they feel like, you know what, I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I want my health. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to be able to walk to the field, not be in a wheelchair to get to watch my kids play. I get it, man.
I
get it.
And it is interesting. A few weeks ago, they had the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremonies like they do every August in Canton. And you'll see a guy who's like our age, early 50s, played, say, in the 80s, early 90s. So a relatively younger person, and you see him walking across the stage at Canton, and you're like,
yeah,
this dude is not looking too good. He's not obviously not feeling too good. So if you can do what you need to do on the football field and have fun doing it and provide for your family, generations of your family, you want to walk away.
It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Jeff, I love our get-together. We had a chance to cover. It was weird that we only talk about 4 schools before we were talking about all 6.
Yeah.
We did have a Pioneer program at one time. We did have a Turner's program at one time. This time we're talking about 4 teams. I'm looking forward to another great season.
Yes.
I know you and Hubie are.
Oh, yeah.
I always thank you so much for being able to come on. And, of course, I always like to have you guys on at the end of the year. And we get together back at the end of November, early December, usually before Super Bowl, if there's anybody who has an opportunity to get there, that we can be able to follow them. Lately, it's been a lot of Frontier. They've seemed like one of the teams that have been able to get there. And what about LaPointe bringing his teams into Super Bowls as well? So let's just see what happens and see how this year goes. And let's wish the best of luck and get out there and support those kids at Mohawk Turners. They need your support, folks. And remember, the Tech School, the Green Wave, the Red Hawks, they all would love to see you there. Friday Night Football is a lot of fun in the fall.
Yeah.
Get out, support them. Make sure you tune in to Bear Country 95.3 for those games live. We will be having some tape delay games. We'll be there as well, but they'll be all on tape delay. So it'll be nice because the kids will be able to see their game as well on TV. So really, it's a big benefit for them to be able to have the opportunity to be on TV and also on the radio. But for you and Hubie, what is this, year number 29?
29.
29 years.
29 years, yeah.
Well,
wow.
bro, congratulations to you both.
Well,
We miss you, man. And I just want to say we love when you're on here with that deep voice and letting everybody know, what's happening. We love you, brother.
Yeah.
And again, happy birthday.
Oh,
and I hope you enjoyed Bobby's. Hope you enjoyed Bobby's World too.
I did.
That's good. We even gave you the big headline with the happy birthday Jeff Tirrell on there because you deserve it. All right, well, that's going to put a wrap on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. For Jeff Tirrell, I'm Bobby C. And also for Philippe Simone, also for John Meisner and Allie Murphy, we thank you so much for being a part of this hour. It was a really fun hour to go over a lot of changes that have happened here in the football season for 2019. Looking forward to doing the coverage. Our Franklin County Varsity Sports Report GCTV football game of the week will be happening. And also, of course, Jeff Tirrell. You'll be able to enjoy the games every week with him and Sean Hubert on Bear Country 95.3. For the Four-Leaf Clover, Denny's Pantry, Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, and for Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, I'm Bobby C. saying so long. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.